I think in this particular project, I think what they wanted to do was they wanted to be able to combine a lot of different ideas. I think they wanted to have the flexibility, to do this or that. They wanted to be able to go ahead and entertain in an area, but also be able to move out of that area if they wanted to. So depending on the type of party they had, they could actually have, 5 or 6 people, being in that area. But if the party got bigger, they could actually move it to different parts, or, have different, small subsections, So I think, they had a lot of, trying to keep flexibility in mind. Yeah, and something like this, it's always, do you have the room to do it? I think that, a lot of times people are like that. They have, we always tell them to start with a wants and needs list. And then, from a practical point of view, you're now trying to fit things in, so you're trying to, you have an idea, you have a concept. And the second part now is, do I have the space to actually do this? And so, for them, luckily, they did have the space. They were able to go ahead and, move things around a little bit, so that way, we now can actually get, a bunch of people in a space and make that work. Initially, when we first started, they had a frameless cabinet, which was a European-style cabinet. The doors are attached to the inside of the box. I'm not saying it's going to be a problem later on, but you do have the joiner of the cabinet. It to me is not as strong as when you're actually in a frame cabinet where the doors are screwed straight into a face frame. So you do have some issues there in terms of strength. I think one is a little better than the other. Yeah, so tile is going to give you a lot of durability. It's going to give you, it's going to be a hard, cold, smooth surface, but in terms of longevity, the tile surface is, going to last the longest. They went with bigger tiles, which was nice, so then that way your eyes follow longer lines. So that's kind of a nice look. So these are pendant lights that are in a vaulted ceiling. One way to break that up is for us to do a track system where we can bring pendant lights down. So the track can actually sit up higher and then come down, and then so instead of having a really long cord that goes from the top to the bottom, they'll actually use a track to help position the light, and that gives them also the flexibility to be able to move the light back and forth or into an area where they want it exactly to hang. Well, they did do a built-in refrigerator, so I thought, in terms of trying to get, more space and lose less, I think, built-in refrigerators probably give you the best option for that. There is a little more that you have to pay for, but I'm going to say your food will last longer in a built-in refrigerator, not just because it doesn't get lost, but, it is, engineered to keep, your frozen things, dry and frozen, and on the refrigeration side, right? The food will last longer because it's not being dried out by the freezer. You're in a situation where you have dual evaporators and dual compressors, so now, it's a non-shredder system. So, now that refrigeration compartment is separate from the freezer. Yeah, I think they wanted, again, most homeowners, they have kind of an inkling that, what they have right now is not working for them, and then, what they're trying to do. And that's why, I think it's interesting that, they try to talk to, a kitchen designer, so that way they can kind of talk it through. Interestingly enough, I was talking to Rick, and Rick, I told him it's almost like it's the kitchen psychiatry, where we're trying to talk about people's issues and problems, and then get them to, try and talk it out, so then that way they can come to, an area where they can address it. They can say, I think this is where, the direction that we want to go, and then it's a lot better than trying to do it on your own.